When I was 11 years old, we had a really, really tough Thanksgiving where there was no money and no food, and we wouldn't have starved. My mom and dad at the time were fighting like cats and dogs, saying things that once you say them, you can never take them back. And my mom was screaming at father about how he couldn't even take care of his own family, and it was horrible. And I have a younger brother and younger sister. I'm the oldest. So I was trying to keep them from hearing this conversation, and then a miracle happened. Bang on the door. I'm the oldest, they're screaming, so I go answer the door. And I answer the door, and standing there is this giant man. It was this little boy. And he's holding this huge box of food. And beside him on the ground was a black pot with an uncooked turkey in it. And he said, "Is your father home?" And I said, "Just one moment." I was like unbelievably euphoric. I thought, this is a gift from God. This is gonna change it all. This is gonna make my mom and dad happy. It's gonna be unbelievable. So I go, and my father is screaming at my mother through a closed door. And I said, Dad, there's a guy at the door. And he goes, "You answer the door." I said, "I did." He was, I kind of teased. I said, "Dad, you gotta come." So he said, "Fine." He made one last yell at her, and he walks to the door. And I'm waiting there, just can't waiting to see his face. And my dad opens the door, and this man's standing there with this big box of food. And my father did not get happy. He looked at this man, and he raised his voice to him, and he said, "Look, we don't take charity." And then he took the door to slam it in the man's face. But the man was a good-sized man. He put his foot there and smacked his foot and bounced back over. He said, Sir, this is not charity. Everybody has tough times. Somebody knows you're having a tough time, and they want you to have a magical Thanksgiving. I'm just the delivery guy." He said, "Please take this." And my father said, "We don't take charity." He went to slam it again. And this time the guy put his shoulder against it so he couldn't do it. And then the guy said something that I'll never forget. And he's holding this thing, and he looked at me, and then he looked at my dad, and he said, "Don't make your family suffer because of your ego." Now my dad's level of energy increased, but he was also trapped. So he took the food, slammed it on our table, and slammed the door in the man's face and never even thanked him. And I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to cry. Was crushed, and I watched my father storm off and went on back to scream at my mother. And I remember that day just thinking, I don't understand. I wanted to smile about this great gift, but now I couldn't even smile because it would make him angry. And I'll tell you what he decided to do. He decided to leave our family shortly thereafter, which at the time it was the worst experience of my life. It was the most crushing experience I felt. Part of it is 3 years ago he passed away. But at the time, I knew no greater pain. My family knew no greater pain. I couldn't understand why he would leave. I loved him so much. And my life turned out very different than him. So that same day, I made 3 different decisions. I decided to focus on the fact there was food. But what changed my life was the meaning I gave it. I decided that day that what this means is that strangers care. And if strangers care about me and my family, I decided what I was going to do is I was going to care about strangers. And that completely changed my life. I promised myself someday I'd do well enough to do this for other families like was done for me.
I've created the easiest, most affordable way to...
People have been hungry for that for a long time. That is the skill to condition your mind so you behave consistent with your goals. Say, ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive.
Hi, it's Tony Robbins again. I'd like to start this morning by showing you the strategy for learning. How many of you can think of something you feel excited about right now? Raise your hand. Let me see your hand. Say I. Once you break through, then it just becomes a game. Hit you. If you don't like the way your career is or your business is, change it. You're gonna learn to drive a stick shift car, and you're brand new at driving a car. I'm very clear that I believe that life is about leadership and being truthful to yourself. Almost anything that matters in your life is psychology, your beliefs and your values. First decision we're all making every moment is, what are you gonna focus on? What are you gonna focus on?
A breakthrough is that moment in time where suddenly the impossible becomes possible.
Life's not about me, it's about we. In the end, if you don't have that aliveness and passion, a part of you is dead inside. The more you can cultivate that sense of wealth, that sense of abundance in you, the more you can feel that sense of joy. You have to flood yourself with the good. Today could be tough, but if the future's compelling, we can get there. So just to remind you, first thing you gotta do is feed and strengthen that mind. Read, listen, feed the mind, take control of that focus, stand guard at what other people are saying. Unless they raise their stand. And we wonder why they don't get better. No amount of money will ever make you wealthy. Clarity is power.
I don't know why you do what you do.
Business is for gladiators.
I'm here because I believe emotion is the force of life.
Because the ultimate resources are emotional states.
Working for a man named Jim Rohn, and if you're doing it, then you know it.
And once you believe it, it's manifest. The only thing that changes our life long term is when we raise our standards. Are you ready? You're a creator of your life or you wouldn't be in this room. He goes, you know what I'm gonna do, Tony? When everybody else is shrinking, I'm gonna add more value. Looking back on my life, because most of you are achievers, so find your passion. It's like when you're put in charge, take command. Let's go build baskets with food and great stuff. Let's deliver it to people. Then we'll come in and have a big dinner. We'll talk about what we're grateful for and have our dinner. And so we did it, and it became a ritual. And last year, we fed over 1 million people now in 9 countries around the world.